Hello everyone, today we are going to start doing some tweak fixing, bug fixing and some refactoring. So let's start by opening ORK Framework, and from here we are going to go to the menus, save game menu, scroll down until we see the save game menu, and let's just change the title because this autosave is very dull. So let's copy what I have here, and it brings a little more detail about this save game menu title. Save your changes and let's move on. Alright, the next task in the list is to fix the low fill HUD scene. So for that, if you remember that when we load the scene from the load save slot, the fill HUD is not loaded because when we start the game, in the main menu settings, the start game event is only executed when we start a new game, not if we load a previous game from the save slot. So we need to fix that. So let's go to the same start event. And here we have the load additive scene. So we need to create a new event, game event, dedicated to load this additive scene. So here we can just delete, remove node, save the event, and create a new one. From the event settings, we can clear found objects and leave everything as it is. And let's add our custom node. So UI, HUD, nope, where was it? Game, scene, load additive scene. And this is important to match the name of the scene. So field HUD. This needs to match also what you have here in the build settings. Field HUD. Okay. Let's save the event. Game, resources, events, field. Or let's see, yeah, let's put it outside. So load field HUD scene event. Okay, so we can close this up. And the next step will be to add an event interaction on every level that we need this field HUD to be loaded properly. So let's do that. Let's go to our scenes, and we know that we need it in the Ark scene, so let's go there. We have our ORK game starter. So let's add window, ORK Scene Wizard, add component, event interaction. From the event interaction, let's select our new created event. Load, field HUD. Click OK to load the event. In the start type, let's change it to auto start. We don't care about the orientation here, so we can leave everything else as it is. Save the scene And let's do the same for the prologue scene and for our staging field scene. So we have our ORK game starter. Let's add component event interaction, so we keep everything in the same spot. Load field scene. Okay, interact auto start. We don't care about the orientation of the player for this event. Save your settings. Next, staging scene. We found our ORK game starter. Create object, not create object, but add component, event interaction, same process. Come on. Click OK, auto start, and save the scene. So if we were to test the scene as it is right now, it should work. In this scene, the staging scene, we don't need anymore this test creep, so we can remove it. Save again, and let's give it a try from here. And there we have it. We have our HUD, we have the minimap. Of course, we didn't create it, I guess, in this map, or the minimap, but everything still works as expected. Alright, so the next step now is let's tweak a little bit the load additive sync node, just to avoid, in case that the field HUD is already loaded, we don't load it again. For that, navigate to your scripts folder. We have then the nodes folder, and open up the load additive scene. Okay, what we're going to do is just a quick check, if the scene that we want to load is already loaded or not. So let's create a new method, private bool can load scene, and we pass the scene name. So in here we check if scene manager scene count is greater than 0, so we already have scenes loaded. We can then iterate through all the loaded scenes. I less than scene manager scene count plus I to increase the index. And in here we do we select the current scene in the loop, scene manager get scene at, we pass the index, and we compare if the current scene name equals the scene name that we want to load. if there is a if this is true, it means that the scene that we're trying to load is already there, so we don't need to load it by any means. So let's come on. We return false here and we break the loop. We don't need to go through any more iterations. So from here what we can do is take this new method and place it here. For example, if can load scene, scene name, then we do this. And same in the else. Okay, that should be it. Let's save the script and return to Unity. Let it compile and let's move on. The next tweak is about the event system. ORK Framework will create a new event system when it loads, but if there is an existing event system already in the scene, it won't create a new one. And in this project, we actually need to have event system when we deal with custom canvases and custom UI. So the easy way I found to handle this is to have a prefab of our existing event system that we created in the main menu, and having it across the scenes that we have, just in case we wanted to create some custom UI. It won't interfere with the ORK functionality at all. So let's create a prefab out of this event system from the main menu. Just to be consistent with the naming convention, I want to type F12 and change the name to P, event system, P for prefab. And let's go to our prefab folder, UI, and let's put it there. Now we can save the main menu scene, and let's go through the Ark scene. Event system, drag it into the scene, save your scene. Let's go to the next one, prologue scene, prefabs, event system, and the stage. Staging prefabs. There we go. So every time we run this scene, ORK will detect that there is already an event system in the scene. It will add the components that it needs to work onto this event system, and we still be able to reuse our navigation and our input as desired. So to test this out, let's run from the main menu screen, Ctrl P to enter play mode, continue, yes, and here we are in the Ark scene. We have the field HUD loaded, so everything's still working as expected. Now if we go to the hierarchy, there is no event system created because now it's using the prefab that we made, and ORK already put the base input component into this event system. So we were going to use a custom canvas from some new UI that we will. Then we can still use our event system for proper navigation with the Xbox controller. Okay, let's exit play mode and let's move on. The next bug fix is about the save slot that we found in the previous video, where the text was not proper moved to the proper location. So this was quite easy to find why it was not working as expected. So let's go to the script to fix this out, and UI, and from here we have our UI save low choice icon fixer. So let's open up this Visual Studio, and what we want to do first is to refactor this code that we have in the start event. So let's select everything here. Control X, and let's make another method public void execute choice fixer, something like that, and paste the code. I have one curly brackets. Okay, and then in the start event we can call this one, and that is leaving us with this public event that we can call later on to fix actually the issue. And let me show you what is the issue actually. Is that, let's let this compile. When we execute or we enter play mode, then we choose continue, yes, then we go to the scene, and if we select to exit back to the main menu, if we go into the don't destroy unload scene, we see we have this UI pool. This UI pool contains all the previous UI elements that were used during the game. So of course our script, the script that we were working with, sorry, not this one, the UI save low choice, is going to execute these things in the start. So at this point the script was already started. It's not going to run anymore. That's why we created this public event, so we can call it again when we are in the main menu and we select the continue option. We can call this method, and it will fix the proper location of the text. So let's get out of the play mode, and for that we need to go to the main menu canvas, and we have this main menu controller. So let's open up this script. Okay, so what the first thing that we want to do is, since we are already adding our event system via prefab that we made, we don't longer need this piece of code, so we can just comment it out or delete it altogether as you wish. And from here in the continue option, this is where we load the load menu screen. So from here, what we want to do is iterate through all the game objects that had this script attached to it, and call the execute choice fixer. So let's do that way. We are going to have a list of scripts using the find object of type okay. Happy now? This will return a list of or array of all the game objects that has this script on it, and then we can iterate in choices through all of them, and for each one we call the execute fixer. Okay, save your script, go back to Unity, let it compile, and let's see if this actually fixed the issue. So let's start the game again, continue, load this data, yes. So we are back into the Ark. It is actually saving the current stamina value. So now let's exit to the main menu. Navigation still working, continue, and voila, the text is fixed. Okay, so exit play mode, and let's move on. The next thing I want to address is in the Ark Scene. If we go there and hit play, we have no collisions in the border of the Ark, so we are just free to fall like so. Puff. So let's fix this out. What I've done is create a cylinder mesh in Blender to use it as a invisible wall collider. So let's import it. Let's go to our meshes. Let's create a new folder for props. And drag the cylinder here. So we don't want blend shapes, cameras, lighting. There is no rig here, no animation, no materials. Apply. Okay. drag the cylinder into the scene, and let's tweak position 0, 0, 0, rotation 0, and let's play with the scale. 31.7, 8 in the Y and 31.7 in the Z. Yep. So at this point we need to add a collider. So let's select Mesh Collider. It will create a collider using the same mesh geometry, and from here we can just untick the mesh renderer, so it will be completely invisible. This cylinder we can then put it in the Ignore Raycast layer, and let's give it a name like wall, something like that. Save the scene and let's test this out. No more jumping out of the arc. Exit play mode and let's go to the next one. The next point in the list is about the blue schemata. We have been working on the red schemata for all along this time and making changes and adding things, but we need to make sure that the blue schemata, and later on we will have a yellow one, have the same components and everything is working properly in this schemata. So let's review it. This is the red schemata and this is all the components it has attached to it. So if we click on the blue schemata, we are missing a few of them. So let's start copying over. So we have the block character collision, copy component, go to the blue schemata, paste component as new, go back to the red schemata, we have the map icon, copy component, paste component as new, copy component for the breadcrumbs, paste component as new. Now it is important that we double check also the layers, because if you remember we did this crazy thing about the block character collision script, that it needs to be set to the character layers, some of the levels, and we need to review that as well. So let's open up the blue schemata prefab, and from here we need to change to character. Yes, change children. We need also the head follow to be in the character layer, but as you can see we are still missing here the object that we added to the red schemata. So let's open up now the red, copy the game object, go back to the blue schemata, open the blue schemata and paste the game object. Now go back to the parent game object, open up the script, and you can see that the slots are still mapping to the red schemata. Before fixing this, I will show you what will happen with this component if we leave it as it is. So for this, first of all, we need to change in the start game event which schemata to use at the start. So let's go to the ORK Framework editor. Now we need to open the start game event, and from here we have the join active group. Let's change it to blue schemata, save the event, and let's open up or play here the Ark. And we are launch to the sky forever and ever. So let's exit play mode. Let's go to the blue schemata and open the prefab again, and from here the character collider is going to be the blue schemata, and the character collision block is no longer in the red schemata, is this one. So now if we save the prefab and play again, we are no longer being propulsed in the sky. Okay, that will fix this issue, and let's move on. So the last thing I want to address is the animations. I'm kind of tired of the out-of-the-box animation I have with the vector component and other I added later on, so I want to improve a little bit what it looks like, the locomotion. So let's get to our animator, lightning animator, open up, go to the locomotion, free locomotion again, and we have this state. So currently we are using the idle, the walk, the run and the sprint out of the box animation that comes with the vector package. And what I want to do is, for the sake of having something a little better, is to add from the package manager the animset throw, the female animset throw from Cobalt. So let's search for it. Okay guys, package manager is still loading. It took still 3 minutes and nothing there, so I want to show you how I do it normally, because it makes me really upset how the package manager performs. So what I want to do is to import this animset. So I check the author, so I go to the folder what is mapped all the asset I had, and let's find Cobalt female, and by doing this is way faster than the nonsense of the package manager. Okay, so from here we only want the animations. We don't need steps, audio steps, nor scripts. We can uncheck everything. Let's put none here and just select the animations and import. Remember, we're trying to keep this project as it was a production project, so the less assets or demos from assets you bring is the best. For that reason, you should have a second project where you can test assets, take anything that you wanted from that asset over, and not all the stuff to clutter your project and cause the size of the build to be bigger than expected. Okay, so let's check it out. So this is what we want for the idle animation. And also I test and lowering the speed to 0.6 looks even better for me. Now for the walk forward, we need to find this one, walk forward, run forward, and sprint forward loop. And let's give it a try. Way better, no? Let's see the sprint. Attack. Still working. This weapon. Perfect. Now check this out. We changed the schemata, right? So if we skip the game and we exit the game and we go to continue to load the slot we had before with the red schemata, it should work, right? And yes, it does. And we have the new animation as well. Okay guys, that's all for now. See you next week.